Martio here. Welcome to another album ranking on a very crisp autumn morning here in Northampton. Today we're sort of doing a little mini sort of series type thing. And today we're going to have a look at Chad Allan and the Expressions. Who, some people going, who are they? Get the... It is in the title what I've said, who are they? Because Chad Allan and the Expressions did become the Guess Who. So, Chad Allan, who was from Winnipeg, formed a band in 1958 and he called it Al and the Silvertones. And after several lineups, the band established themselves and they changed the name and they became Chad Allan and the Reflections, which included keyboardist Bob Ashley and went to feature Randy Bachman, Jim Cale and Gary Peterson, who all ended up in sort of some of the mainstays of the Guess Who. So Chad Allan and the Reflection released their first single back in 1962 even, and it was a tribute to Buddy Holly. They changed, and that was done on Canadian American Records, and then they signed to Quality Records in '63. They made a few singles, very well known around Winnipeg, but they hadn't got the impact on the rest of Canada. And one of the singles was perhaps mistakenly credited to Bob Ashley and the Reflections. So in 1965, they changed their name yet again to Chad Allan and the Expressions, and this is because there was an American group called the Reflections, of course, and they just had a hit single called Just Like Romeo and Juliet. So that's how it come in, and then I'll tell you how they changed the name to Guess Who next week. So they've under the name of Chad Allan and the Reflections, they released 2 albums. So we'll have a look at them today. So coming in at number 2 is that the second album under the name Chad Allan and the Expressions, and it was released in September of 1965. The cover gave credit to Chad Allan and the Expressions, and in brackets, Guess Who. So the name was starting to creep in, and it is regarded as a garage rock album. So playing on here is Chad Allan on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, Randy Bachman on lead guitar and backing vocals, Jim Cale bass, Gary Peterson on the drums, and Bob Ashley on keyboards. So the first track on here is the title track, Hey Ho, What You Do To Me. It's a nice little rocker for the 60s. Nice guitars, the vocals are fantastic. They could all sing, which we found out later in life as well. So yeah, pretty good song. Then the second song is called I Should Have Realised. Very Beatlesque. It's got the harmonica. I Should Have Known's in there. You know, da, 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 da. It's got that sort of feel to it. It's pretty good. I like that. Hurting Each Other. One of these ballads. I'm not very Walker Brothers style, and I'm not a big fan of them either. I didn't like that track. Then we have my favourite track, and it's called Made in England. Now this is an instrumental track, and I'm a big fan of 60s instrumentals, and I had heard this. It was one of them tracks. I like that track. Oh, it's them, is it? It's pretty good as well. I'll Keep Coming Back. Just a typical sort of pop song with some nice piano work in it. Then there's Stop Teasing Me. I'm not going to say too much of that because it is on the debut album as well, so we'll talk about that in a moment. Could This Be Love? A little bit insipid ballad. It's really not my thing. It's one of them 60s ballads I weren't very keen on. Then we have a track called The Theme from a Music Box, written by Randy Bachman. There's little bits of hints of you ain't seen nothing yet in this. There's little bits of the riff already appearing. It's a little bit slower, but it's there. Then we have Don't Be Scared. It's alright. I wouldn't say it's brilliant. Inside Out, Quite like this. It's got some honky tonk guitar on it, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of honky tonk. Great stuff. And then there's another ballad on here. It's very soulful, called Good Night, Good Night. And it's nice harmony vocals on this. This is one of them sort of, not sort of typical sort of 60s pop albums. There's nothing wrong with it. It's pleasant. It's nice to listen to. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. So coming in at number 1 is the debut album, again from 1965, and this came out in April of 65. And on here, of course, it's called Shakin' All Over, and it features their version of the song. So Chad Allan again, Randy Bachman, Jim Cow, Gary Peterson and Bob Ashley. First track is their version of Shakin' All Over. Not a bad version of it. Yeah, pretty good. I don't mind it. It's a little bit of a different arrangement. It's still good though. Then they do a cover of Bobby Lewis's Tossing and Turning. It's not a bad version actually. Then they do Stop Teasing Me, which they did on both albums. This is very typical of what was going on in the mid 60s. It sounds like it's got bits of the Hollies, the Searchers, the Beatles. Very 60s, of course. But you can see it's written by Randy Bachman, and you can see where he was going. You know, really good. Then there's a track called Like I Love You. Nice track, nice harmonies. It's a pretty solid track as well. Up next, Till We Kissed, Where Have You Been? Now the start of this sounds like Cathy's Clown, Everly Brothers, I must admit. It's a little different. Then we have Shy Guy, one of my favourites on here. It's a very short but quirky 60s pop song, and there's nothing wrong with them. Then they do a version of Curtis Thompson's A Shot of Rhythm and Blues. It is my favourite track on here. Okay, it's a great song, and they do a fantastic version of it. Really good. Then we went I Want You to Love Me. It's one of them 60 songs. It's a little bit, nah, not for me. I'd Rather Be Alone. My second favourite song on here. It's got some great guitar work on here from Randy. He's a good guitarist, and I like it. Well, yeah, what he did when he was drawing Batman, Turner and Overdrive. Good stuff. I've Been Away. It's okay. Then there's another cover, and it's Tough Enough. It's a Johnny Otis song, and they do a really good version of it. And then we have the last track, Turn Around and Walk Away. I like the start of it. It's got some real delicate touches on the guitars, and the effects for the time were really good. It's not a bad song. It's okay to end the album. Again, it's not a bad album. I think this is just a little bit better than the second album. It wasn't the finished article, was it? So, you know, they went on and became the Guess Who. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. So there we go. That's how the Guess Who started. So next week we are doing the full Guess Who catalogue. So there we go. Okay, coming up next, it's Retro Ranking. And I've gone and done something that we've done plenty of on the channel, and that's Jean-Michel Jarre. But I've never, ever done anything on my favourite tracks and my favourite pieces. So I thought I'd sit down and do it, and I have. So that's what's coming up next. So I'll see you for that. Bye for now.